Hello students, this is Mr. Guy. Today I'm going to talk to you about comma splices and how to fix them. What is a comma splice? Well, a comma splice is two sentences incorrectly connected with a comma. And in academic writing, we can't do that. For example, we enjoy sports, comma, we play every day. This is a sentence. We enjoy sports. We play every day. These are two simple sentences, and they can't be connected with a comma. So what we have to do is we have to think, how are we going to connect them? Well, we connect them with the connectors. They are tools specifically designed for connecting our ideas together and for connecting our thoughts and our sentences. Okay? One type of connector is the coordinating conjunctions. Another type is subordinating conjunctions. And then, of course, there are transition phrases. All of these tools show the relationship between ideas, between sentences, between thoughts. Okay? Do a quick review of these. We know we have coordinating conjunctions, which we call the fanboys, and they make compound sentences. As you can see, they're right here. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. The most common ones are and, but, and so. Those are the most common, the most frequently used in your writing. We also have subordinating conjunctions. Words like because, although, whereas, when, before, after, as soon as. And because is high frequency, used all the time. Although is used all the time to show contrast. Because is used to show cause and effect. These are very common. The subordinating conjunctions of time, when, before, after, as soon as. And the next tool are the transition phrases. Phrases like as a result, on the other hand, in addition. This one shows effect, this one shows contrast, this one just shows in addition, meaning added information, and this one shows contrast, just like on the other hand. Let's take a look at a sentence. Or, I'm sorry, let's take a look at two sentences that want to be connected. Solar-powered cars are an excellent way to save money on gasoline. A lot of people can't afford them. Now, what we have here is a sentence. Solar panel cars are an excellent way to save money on gasoline. That's a sentence. It's got a subject, solar-powered cars. It's got a verb, and then it says something about them. In other words, it's a complete thought. It makes sense all by itself. And this also is a complete thought, and it makes sense all by itself. It's a sentence. A lot of people can't afford them. The point here is that these two cannot be connected with this comma. So if we're going to connect them or show the relationship between them, then we need a tool. We can choose coordinating conjunction, we can choose subordinating conjunction, or we can choose transition phrases. Let's look at coordinating conjunction. Which coordinating conjunction would be best? Well, to answer that question, you have to think, well, what's the relationship between these ideas? Is it one of effect, one of cause, one of addition? Think about it for just a second. Can I say, solar-powered cars are an excellent way to save money on gasoline, so a lot of people can't afford them? Certainly not, it doesn't work. It's clear that the relationship here is one of contrast. So an easy way to fix it is to put but. This is a coordinating conjunction of contrast, comma, but. Solar-powered cars are great, but a lot of people can't afford them. So that is definitely one way. If we were to use a subordinating conjunction, we would have to find a word here that shows contrast. And that word is although. There you go. Solar-powered cars are an excellent way to save money on gasoline, although a lot of people can't afford them. Now this is a good sentence. This is a complex sentence. because it uses a subordinating conjunction. So everything is going well. There's one small detail, that when you have a subordinating conjunction and it is in the middle of the sentence, you don't need the comma, and I don't think you should use it. Most of the time, the comma should not be used. So that's my recommendation. So here you have a nicely connected, complex sentence. These two ideas are connected. The fact that the cars are excellent and the fact that people can't afford them are relating in the way that we want them to. Now, if we don't want to use a subordinating conjunction, then we can use a transition phrase. So which one of these transition phrases shows contrast? Well, there's two. On the other hand, and however. They both would work. So, full stop, transition phrase, comma. Full stop, transition phrase, comma. Solar panel cars are great. However, a lot of people can't afford them. So when we write, we have choices. And if we choose coordinating conjunction, subordinating conjunction, or we choose a transition phrase, then we need to make sure that we're following the grammatical rules of each. And also, we should realize as writers, we generally would like to use a variety of methods. We use some coordinating conjunctions, some subordinating conjunctions, and some transition phrases. It's called sentence variety, and it helps keep your writing a little more interesting. Let's look at another sentence. Okay, here's a typhoon, there's the beach. It says, the typhoon hit the island. Many people lost their houses. That's a sentence. That's a sentence. They have subjects and verbs, and they complete a thought. And they're connected with a comma, and that's the problem. So again, we have choices. We need to look, well, what's the relationship between these ideas? The typhoon hit the island, many people lost their houses. Well, if we choose a coordinating conjunction, I think that's really simple. We would use so, because the effect of the typhoon, the effect was many people lost their houses. Now that's one way to do it. Another way might be a transition phrase. Which one of these transition phrases shows effect? Typhoon hit the island. As a result, many people lost their houses. Now, is that correct? It's not correct. It's not correct grammatically. Remember I told you that each one of these has a separate grammatical process. So the rule for transition phrases is very simple. Full stop, capital letter, as a result, comma. In other words, full stop, transition phrase, comma. That's how I memorize it. Full stop, transition phrase, comma. Sounds like music. Full stop, transition phrase, comma. Okay? So for coordinating conjunction, it was comma so. For transition phrase here, it was full stop, as a result, comma. So the typhoon hit the island. As a result, many people lost their houses. Now that's good. This is clearly showing the relationship between the typhoon and the fact that people lost their houses. And as good writers, that's what we do. We show the relationship. We make it clear. Now, subordinating conjunction. Could we use a subordinating conjunction to show the relationship between ideas? Absolutely. It would require a little more thought, because effect is often the opposite of cause. So for example, if I were to put the word because, well, you know, because is a cause and effect type of word. So it says the typhoon hit the island. because many people lost their houses. What do you think? Certainly you should be shaking your head because it doesn't make any sense at all. If I put so here, that works. But if I'm going to use because, I need to change the order of the sentence, and I need to say, let me get rid of this. I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to make this a capital. Because, I'm going to make that small, because the typhoon hit the island, comma, many people lost their houses. Now notice that comma didn't move. It stayed right where it was. But what I did was take the subordinating conjunction and put it in the beginning of the sentence. Because now it's saying why people lost their houses. Because the typhoon hit the island, comma, many people lost their houses. And what's interesting here is look at the full stop. Look at the comma. The comma is okay here because when I add this word, because, that is a subordinating conjunction. And that means that this part can no longer be its own sentence. It cannot be a sentence anymore. Because the typhoon hit is not a sentence. Therefore, this comma shows that this complex sentence started with the subordinating conjunction, and the first part of the complex sentence is this, and what follows the comma is the second part. Maybe that's why they call complex sentences complex sentences. But as you know, I can also say many people lost their houses because the typhoon hit the island. So if I want to, I can go like this. Cut, paste. I have to do some grammatical activities here. I have to make that a small letter. I'm going to get rid of that comma. I have to make this a big letter. And let's see how it is. Many people lost their houses because the typhoon hit the island. Now you've got a natural order complex sentence. No comma required. Many people lost their houses. The typhoon hit the island. This is just connecting them together, so no comma is necessary. But as soon as you take this and put it at the beginning of the sentence, and you say, because the typhoon hit the island, comma, many people lost their houses. All right. I think we're doing well. Last sentence. I study 4 hours a day. I play 2 hours of sports in the evening. The question is, what is the relationship between these two sentences? Well, it depends on how you look at it, and it depends on you. This could be a relationship of time. You do one thing before the other. Okay? Or it could just be a simple relationship of addition. It's like, hey, I do this and I do this. That's just the way it is. So it depends on what you mean. But if you want to just do a simple addition relationship, you use and. For example, I study 4 hours a day, and I play 2 hours of sports in the evening. That's very simple. It's following the rules, comma, coordinating conjunction. Or we could use a transition phrase. It could be in addition, or it could even be then. Then has to do with time. In addition just has to do with like the word and. All right? So for example, okay, I study for 4 hours a day. In addition, I play 2 hours of sports in the evening. Now, is this correct? Answer? No. I'm going to make the correction now. It's good. I study 4 hours a day. In addition, I play 2 hours of sports in the evening. That works. That shows the relationship between the ideas. Okay? Now, let's take a look at the possibility of a subordinating conjunction. This one, obviously, I think you're going to be looking at subordinating conjunctions of time. And it could be either before or after. It all depends. If you want to make the distinction of time, you might want to say, for example, Before I play tennis, I study for 4 hours. Or it could be something as simple as I study 4 hours a day. After I play 2 hours of sports in the evening. Now, does that make sense? What do you think? I study 4 hours a day after I play 2 hours of sports in the evening. Maybe it's possible. Or maybe you might want to say, I play 2 hours of sports in the evening after I study for 4 hours. I play 2 hours of sports in the evening after I study for 4 hours, or after I study for 4 hours, comma, I play 2 hours of sports in the evening. The point is that we have choices. We can coordinate, we can use coordinating conjunctions, we can subordinate, we can use subordinating conjunctions, or we can use transition phrases. And for each one, we follow the grammatical rules. Let's take a look at a student example. This is something a student wrote. It says, the environmental issues today are very serious. Many people don't do anything about it. On the other hand, comma, many people are taking action. For example, there are many engineers and scientists who are working hard to find solutions to issues like water shortages and a need for clean energy. Well, this person is a good writer. Their ideas are very clear, but we want to make sure that we're not using comma splices. So we look here and we say, okay, the environmental issues today are very serious. Many people don't do anything about it. That's a comma splice. What's the relationship? It's a contrast relationship. So we can simply say, but. There are environmental problems, but many people don't do anything about it. Now here the writer did a good job. Full stop. On the other hand, comma, many people are taking action. For example, there are many engineers and scientists who are working hard to find solutions to issues like water shortages and a need for clean energy. This is a comma splice. Transition phrase. For example, comma, there are many engineers and scientists who are working hard to find solutions to issues like water shortages and a need for clean energy. Those corrections that I made are important for your writing. They're important for academic writing, okay? Now, getting close to the end. Review. It's very important when you write your essays. Ideas are connected. There is a relationship, and it is our job as writers to show that relationship. The relationships can be one of contrast, effect, cause, addition. It could be similarities and differences. Whatever it is, we need to make sure that we are using a tool to show the relationship. Okay, we have conjunctions and we have transitions. And remember, commas by themselves do not make connections between sentences. Here these commas are fine. They're not used to connect two sentences. Okay, I hope this helps, and I look forward to seeing the excellent connections in your writing.